Going to kick start with Hemant, who's flown in from India. Thank you so much for coming over, Hemant. And I'd like to pass this clicker to you to start talking about the work that the GSA has been doing on Agile.
Thank you, Kerry. It's a pleasure to be here, despite the jet lag and the time zone differences and all that. But this is a global industry, so if you can't deal with, just getting from place A to place B and standing up in front of colleagues and talking about agile sourcing, then it's not the right industry for you. Anyway, so here we are. Next slide, please. Oh, the clicker. Okay. So this is how the next 45 minutes will be structured. We'll do a quick recap for those who came in late, as in people who haven't attended the July event, or the one before that in January, I think it was, right, Kerry? So this is the last two presentations where we talked about agile sourcing and what the working group was doing. So recap for those who did attend either or both of those sessions to what we did then, and for the ones who haven't been attending those sessions, it's a quick description of what the working group has been doing. Then we'll talk about where we went from there, which is took a look at various practices in the industry of how agile sourcing is done, and we've identified some common factors. So we created a hypothetical construct which essentially brings together the best practices across different advisor firms as well as practitioners of agile sourcing. So for 10 minutes on that, and then we move into a case study where my colleague from ISG will talk about their experiences, and then we'll have a panel discussion in which I want to just briefly talk about the impact of Gen AI on agile sourcing and how it helps. So I've removed most of the text from this and just kept only the graphics. I hope these slides are visible at the back. Anyway, so we went from the waterfall model in software engineering. We went from the waterfall model to agile, and in the procurement and sourcing industry, we went from the traditional tendering RFP process, which essentially is linear, unidirectional, much like the waterfall model for software development. And I like to call it a well-defined journey to a predefined destination. So you know exactly where you're going, you know exactly how you want to get there. And all you're doing is putting out a tender and asking for suppliers to comply with both the destination and the steps to get there. And on the other hand, you have agile sourcing, which has increasingly become very popular. A lot of it because of VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, ambiguity, and clients not knowing exactly what technologies are right for them, which service providers are right for them, and what the final solution looks like. So there's a general hazy idea that clients have of what the destination should be. So it's not really a predefined destination, unlike what you see on the left-hand side. And if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there, as the proverb says. So if you're not very clear about what the destination is, the journey isn't clear either. However, through collaboration, iterative collaboration, where you explore what's possible, and suppliers bring that in because they have this experience of having worked with other clients where they've done stuff. Things have been, prototyped, piloted, what have you, and that experience helps in carving out what shaping what the final solution looks like. So that's essentially a quick summary of Agile and how it differs from the traditional model. Now, is it a silver bullet? Can it be used everywhere all the time? No. There are certain situations where Agile really makes a big difference, and there are certain situations where you'd be better off sticking to the traditional model. I'm not going to read through the text here, but very quickly, you need executive sponsorship to support use of a non-traditional method. Somebody up there in the value chain, in the hierarchy of the organization, has got to say, okay, your circumstances seem, like they're ready for Agile. So let's go ahead and try that. Excuse me. So if there are restrictions about compliance, either from a regulatory perspective, for a lot of PSUs, for example, they're required to go through a process which is pre-specified, and not too many exceptions are permitted. Or there could be external regulations or internal policies. If the services are not commodity services, if they're not things that you can easily, fungible across suppliers, they're unique, and you need a customized approach, where innovativeness plays a big role in who you want to go with, how innovative they are. These are the kind of situations, these are the criteria, if you like. And the Agile Working Group has actually developed a template for assessing this on a scale of 1 to 5. And depending on the score, whether your particular project is Agile ready or not. So this is, again, a recap of what we have done so far. And moving on from there, we took a look at the various practices in the marketplace, in the industry, how Agile sourcing is done. So it broadly seems to follow these 5 or 6 different steps. So there is, as you can notice, a series of workshops. You start with a goal and scope setting, which is the clients. This is internal to the client organization. So you get them together. So if an advisor is doing this, the advisor acts as a facilitator, or if not, there's got to be a champion within the client organization driving this. So you get all the key stakeholders together. So in Agile, like in Agile software engineering, in Agile sourcing, the customer is at the center of the process. That's how, for example, in Agile software engineering, it's called product owner. Very similar concept here is it's customer centric. So who are the stakeholders for whom this sourcing is being done? Who are the technical buyers, so to speak? Get them together in a workshop and get them to figure out the what, not necessarily the how, because that will come much later, but at least a broad idea. What are the contours of what is your problem that you're trying to solve to? What's the problem statement? What are the challenges? What are the pain points? And where do you want to get to? That's the first step. And then with that information, you go to market and look at all the potential suppliers that could possibly assist you in getting from A to B. And then you prepare a long list, and you have some opportunity discovery workshops, introductory meetings and presentations with potential suppliers to see what kind of an understanding they have of what your client is trying to achieve. Is the client comfortable with what they're saying, etc. Down select to a few and have more intensive requirement definition workshops with those down selected, maybe 3 or 4 suppliers. And that's where you have these collaborative solutioning workshops where together you can shape the destination and the way to get there. So, and then of course there's the negotiation and contracting, and from this point on it starts following known steps in the traditional model as well, which is how to put together the services agreement and contract. Excuse me. So these are the principles that are common across all the methodologies we surveyed. Collaboration, very key criterion to Agile sourcing. Iteration. So these collaborative solutioning workshops at Chevron number 5, you could have them, iteratively. Flexibility is there's no precise cast in stone kind of definition of what the requirement is, and it can be shaped to a large extent by what suppliers are showing you is possible and has been done before at other clients. Customer centricity, I briefly talked about that, which is basically putting the customer, the stakeholder, at the center of the process. And the outcome orientation, which is essentially like in Agile, you look at what the outcome is. It's not focused on the process of the steps being taken, but how do we get to what we want? And that's where the flexibility comes in. If you can't reach it this way, you go about it another way. So, and for further work for the Agile sourcing working group, we've suggested some research in this area. So just as an experiment, I went to ChatGPT and typed in, how can Agile sourcing benefit from Gen AI? Right? And you're seeing the result there. This is just the summary. I have two more detailed slides which expand on everything from point 1 through 8. So this is ChatGPT says so it must be true, right? Excuse me. So that was the quick recap and the a brief summary of the common framework, which hopefully we can further detail out and then standardize to Kerry's point, and have that as part of the best practices in the GSA library. And I'd invite Gary from IS. Oh, there he is. There you are. So case study from Gary, and then we move into a panel discussion and Q&A.